Essays in Idleness, a philosophical stroll with the monk Kenkō. Translated from French. A jewel of hermitage literature, Essays in Idleness is a timeless invitation to seize the fleeting beauty of the world before the dew on the plains of Adachi dries, and the smoke of Mount Toribe fades away. The author, Urabe Kenkō, or the monk Kenkō, 1283–1350, was neither a fierce ascetic nor even a devout in the narrow sense of the term. An officer of the guard, charged with attending Emperor Go-Yuda, he chose to take religious vows only upon the death of his patron, and did so in order to observe his contemporaries from a distance. In an era when the ruffians of Kanto, and cultured soldiers, afflicted the court with a way of life far removed from all humanity, closer to that of beasts, Kenkō knew how to preserve the essential, the ancient taste. Kenkō is a belated classicist. His essays resemble the polished conversation of a man of the world, and possess that air of simplicity and ease of expression, which are in reality the mark of a consummate art. One cannot, when beginning the study of ancient Japanese literature, make a better choice than Essays in Idleness. Upon examining this work rich in confidences, one discerns in Kenkō two contrasting personalities, the aristocrat and the monk. He advocates, to be sure, Buddhist detachment, yet confesses that a man who had no taste for amorous life would resemble a crystal cup, lacking a bottom. He criticizes attachment to material goods, yet always feels a quickening of the heart when recalling the palace decors, the accessories of costumes, or the magnificence of ceremonies. He rails against vulgar drunkenness, yet admits that a glass of sake shared among intimate friends around the fire, on a snowy night, is one of life's charms. These two facets of his character combine to form a type of old bachelor truly sympathetic, and who becomes even more so when one meditates at leisure upon the thoughts and counsels of such intimate wisdom that fill the greater part of his writing, explains Michel Revon. I hold him to be the greatest moralist, the most harmonious and purest spirit of Japan. The essence of following the caprice of the brush. Following the brush, the bonze Kenkō composed the most beautiful book of this genre. He is my master. I went to Kyoto to weep at the place where he had lived. A bonze led me there, the abbot Kenkō. He said to me, "It is the flowers that are there. The Japanese are like the seasons. Everything returns with them. We are like history. Everything dies with us." Essays in Idleness belongs to that most particular literary genre, the following the brush, in which the Japanese also place Montaigne's essays, and this comparison between Kenkō and our French gentleman, however conventional, is no less apt. One finds in both that sure and delicate taste, that melancholy which is never despair, that wholly humanist enthusiasm not so much for antiquity as for ancient virtue, and finally that will to paint oneself while painting others. No regular plan, no system to confine the mind, nothing but the caprice of the brush, from which emerges a jumble of reflections, anecdotes, and maxims thrown pell-mell onto paper, over several years, around 1335, a garden of impressions where wild grass grows alongside rare flowers. The famous incipit sets the tone for this intellectual stroll. At the mercy of my idle hours, from morning to evening, before my writing desk, I note without precise design the trifles whose fleeting reflection passes through my mind. Strange digressions. The poetics of the unfinished. At the heart of Essays in Idleness beats the poignant sense of the ephemeral. For modern man, the flight of time is, most often, a source of anguish. For Kenkō, it is the very condition of beauty. It is its impermanence that makes this world precious. He writes, "If our existence were to be eternal, the poetry of the world would vanish at once." From this philosophy of precariousness flows an entirely Japanese aesthetic, that of the unfinished, which prefers to the fullness of the moon the veiled brilliance of a waning star, and to the flower in full bloom the petals that the wind carries off in haste. Despite ourselves, whatever the object, its perfection is a defect. Leave things unfinished, as they are, without polishing, I shall find interest in them and feel at ease. I have been told, when one builds an imperial residence, it is customary to leave one spot unfinished, by teaching us that the regret for the scattering of flowers, and the waning of the moon is more touching than the praise of their full blossoming. Kenkō does not merely offer us a lesson in poetics, he offers us, better still, a consolation.